Well, hello, once again, all my fellow patriots, and you filthy leftist stalkers out there. Welcome back to Angela's Soap Box on Raging Elephants Radio. My name is Angela Box. And as always, let's fair. That's some stuff last week I didn't get to. And part of me was like, should I touch on it, or is it old news? And it's like, no, because with all things the left does, the nightmare never stops. So what was valid last week is still valid this week. So hopefully I will get to everything I actually want to talk about today. Before we begin, every week on my show I like to dedicate a plastic straw to a filthy leftist. And this week's plastic straw doesn't go to a person exactly. It goes to a thing. I wonder if you could think of what I'm imagining right now. Imagine like a filthy, toxic diaper that you wear over your face for some stupid reason. Because the people in charge have told us it's going to keep us safe. That's right, I'm talking about your stupid mask. So the straw goes to the mask, and the masked Nazis, and the mask capitulators out there. Take a swig of Diet Coke. Let's get into this. Well, the COVID scam continues unabated, and that's where we're going to start today. It's just, I live in Texas. I'm proud to live in Texas, and I remember when I moved from LA to Texas, as I was going out on they call it the 10, they call it the I-10 here, but I was leaving the 10, and as I was exiting California and exiting LA, I felt such a sense of relief, such a sense of a weight lifting off of me. And in the last year or 2 years of being in Texas, I've seen quite a shift in the mentality of the people around here, and certainly of larger cities, Houston, Dallas, etc., have gone further and further to the left. And Governor Abbott, who used to really, I didn't have that much beef with him. I thought he was good. But how he has thrown in now with this propaganda push, the COVID scam, it is, I think it's insidious. And I say a scam because I like to make this qualifier. Yeah, the virus is real. We're not stupid. People are getting sick from it. But how deadly can a virus be if you actually have to be tested for it to see if you're actually sick? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I had a friend who got a COVID test, and she had 0 symptoms of anything, and it came back positive. And she had to wait another week to get another test, came back positive, and she's like, okay, what the hell? She couldn't go back to work. She was supposed to be quarantining, but we're like, we don't care. This is stupid. You're not sick. It's fine. And finally, she decided to go to a drive-through test because she could not get another test from her doctor. She went and got a drive-through test, and it was negative. Well, her doctor still wants her to have another test. So what do you bet? That test will be positive. And it got me to thinking today about how the left has, of course, their paroxysms when Trump took the CDC out of the equation for looking at the numbers of the positive cases and the deaths, because I'm telling you, man, the deep state, it is deep, wide, and it's in every bureaucracy. So Centers for Disease Control has been in charge of counting the deaths, counting the cases, and things are just real fishy. Let's say that. It seems like there's a lot of cases sprouting up in red states, for example. It's weird, isn't it? So Trump wisely took that bean counting away from the CDC, gave it to HHS, which is run by Ben Carson, who, last time I checked, is a doctor. So, he's not giving it to Betsy DeVos to count. It's fine. And lo and behold, there's already things coming up that are very fishy. In the state of Texas, actually. And it makes me wonder, who is Greg Abbott talking to? Who is informing Governor Abbott? Who is encouraging Governor Abbott to infringe on our personal liberties. Because I damn sure know it's not anyone I know or would respect. Some Austin bureaucrat, no doubt. Some closet leftist, or some never Trumper, or we have to go along with the left. Oh, the Rona, it's so serious, it's gonna kill us all. We all have to wear a mask. Anyway, so Trump was very smart how he took the CDC out of the equation, and this week we found out they were definitely fudging the numbers in San Antonio, for example. Almost 3,500 cases. 3,500 cases that said they were probable cases of COVID were reported as, COVID, when in fact it wasn't COVID. And in fact, there was a lady who called to Rush Limbaugh's show actually last week. She was anonymous, and she said, I am a coder working for a hospital in Texas, and I'm telling you right now, they are telling us to code people who do not have COVID as having COVID. So for whatever reason, whether it's a money-making scam to, bilk Medicare or whatever, or if it's a political scam, or a combination of both, it's insidious. And this week also Walmart, who has become woke Walmart, unfortunately. I started noticing Walmart becoming super woke a few years back when they changed their advertising pitch. And all of a sudden it wasn't like, small town, good old boy neighbor, mom and pop, blah, blah. No. All of a sudden a couple of years ago it became Spanish music in the background and Walmart is just completely woke and stupid. And they had to have in any commercial they had to have a person that was white, a person that was black, a person that was Asian, a person that was Hispanic. They're like, look we're just all getting together and having a barbecue. Well, vegan, of course. Anyway, screw Walmart. But Walmart this week, and I mean, real quick aside, I can't believe I'm saying screw Walmart because I grew up with Walmart. Sam Walton was a conservative. I think he would be mortified to see what has happened to his company. So this week they decided that they were going to require masks for everybody walking in their store around the country starting on the 20th. Again, the arbitrary nature of this whole scam, it really, really bothers me. But isn't it funny that the large corporations that have benefited the most from this arbitrary, cruel, and completely unnecessary shutdown of all of our lives are now gleefully promoting even more fear with these mask ordinances. And people, I don't know if you figured it out yet, but it's not about keeping you safe. It's about controlling you. It's about who can we control? Who's going to fall in line? Who's going to be a problem? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to say I am the problem. It just infuriates me to no end that everybody thinks that a piece of paper or a bandana or a filthy piece of cloth is going to stop a virus. A new article came out, it was in June, but it's just starting to get circulated more, from the Association of Physicians and Surgeons, which, of course, you Google them, and the left hates them. They're like, is this a reputable organization? Yeah, it is. It's just not the AMA, which is a left-wing organization. And this is what's, again, so insidious about the left. They have corrupted literally everything. I mean, they've corrupted the frickin' AARP, okay? So anyway, this Organization of American Physicians and Surgeons did a little study, and they found that the mask doesn't work at all because the COVID bacteria the virus is like 0.01 micrograms, and a mask only protects against 0.03, and that is like an N95 mask, which we always talk about. Like, that's really the only one that would even do you any bit of good. It's like math is hard and science is hard. For me, it is. But even I can grasp that. Okay, the mask, the piece of paper, the bandana, They did a study where they had people in South Korea who were positive for COVID. They each had them wear a paper mask or a bandana or whatever, and they coughed into a petri dish. And what do you know? COVID came out. So it's not protecting against anything. The fact that the left, and it is the left, and they are insidious, and they are everywhere. And this isn't paranoia at this point. It's a fact. The fact that the left wants this to continue should tell you everything. That when we get back, they lie. Listening to the Soap Box on Raging Elephants Radio. Be right back.
What's up, Saints and Patriots? I'm Apostle Claver, a proud Texas nationalist, and I'm here to tell you about Texit. For 25 years, Daniel Miller has been working to see the rebirth of the Republic of Texas. His work has been hard, but his passion is deep. For many Texans, there is a deep yearning, a burning to see the prophecy of Sam Houston come true. But the desire of their hearts comes with many questions. Texit has the answer. It's the new book from Daniel Miller and Defiance Press. Texit, Why and How Texas Will Leave the Union. Texit charts the path to Texas independence. This riveting book of facts and philosophy will soothe your anxiety about the coming change and build your confidence that Texans can get it done. You'll want to buy several copies for your family and friends. Like I've said about this governmental mess, the only way out is out. And the best part of Texit, I'm in it. Texit, Why and How Texas Will Leave the Union. It's selling like hotcakes. Buy it on RagingElePhantsRadio.com.
Green Air Technology will sanitize, sterilize, and defunkifies your home. Our treatment utilizes a high-output biocleaner to eradicate bacteria, germs, and airborne pathogens and allergens in any home, vehicle, or facility. So if your facility or home smells funky like a bow-legged monkey, call Green Air Technologies. We are dedicated to eliminating odor and airborne contaminants at home, at work, or even in your vehicle. Now featuring Biosphere. Call Jim Green at 346-254-9217 or go to greenairtech.com. 346-254-9217 or go to greenairtech.com.
Doc says all the best words start with P. Prudence is a good word. Airlines will always say, put your own mask on first, then help your loved ones. Prudence means making sure that your family food supply is secure. Most stores have at best a 72-hour supply of food, and if something goes wrong, resupply will not happen quickly. You should have at least a 90-day supply of your favorites because it will allow you to weather the worst crisis and make plans for the future. The answer is newmanna.com. N-U-M-A-N-N-A. New Manna is not just food storage, but really tasty food that you will enjoy eating. New Manna food is designed to last for 25 years, but many people enjoy it several times a week. Now is the time to lay in a supply of tasty New Manna food for your family. Be prepared and know your family is safe. Go to newmanna.com right now for fast delivery. That's newmanna.com.
Hey, this is Claver. I want to take a few seconds to give you some words of encouragement. Go after the dream. Some of you have embraced the dream of having your own talk show. Congratulations. You've got a lot to say, and you have the confidence to believe you can do a great job. You should start on RagingElePhantsRadio.com. Purchasing your own block time is cheap. Yeah, a lot cheaper than your local terrestrial station for sure. And we don't leave you to sink or swim. Consultation on how to get up and running is part of our service to you as an RER independent producer. Shoot me an email, info@RagingElePhantsRadio.com. info@RagingElePhantsRadio.com. I'll send you a full media kit. Launch that dream right now with RagingElePhantsRadio.com.
My name is Angela Box. You're listening to Angela's Soap Box on Raging Elephants Radio. I was saying before the break, the motivation of the left. They are pissed off at Trump for taking the number counts away from the CDC because I think rightly so we're going to find out they've been lying, which I always like to say, if you have nothing to hide, like, what do you care? What do you care, CDC? What do you care, leftists? Who counts the COVID? If you're telling the truth, who cares? But the point is they're lying, and they know they're lying. The fact that they want to continue the control of your personal liberty with the mask, and that so many people just go blindly along. This is so confusing to me, because I know that there's lots of people who think like me, that sees this for what it is. A great, huge, massive psyop done by the left. And the problem is, it's like, oh, Trump's president. Okay, well, Trump might be president, but this is still a 50-50 country, and the left is insidious, and they push, and their entire culture and media, unfortunately. So Trump might be president, but, these lunatics are setting the standards. And the fact that the left wants this to continue ad nauseam forever tells you everything. They don't care about your kids getting an education. Isn't that funny? The left, who's always been screaming about how the Republicans want to kill children and don't want children to go to public school, and they don't care if their kids can read or do math. It is the left who is making these insane demands to actually go back to school and teach. They're fudging infection rates, which is why Trump took the CDC out of it. They're lying about deaths. More and more people are now coming out saying, okay, my brother or whoever died on a motorcycle, but yet they said it's a COVID death. They are pretending that masks actually work, disregarding all the science. And I love how the left is saying, oh, you have to look at the science. Okay, well, let's talk about the science. Because, in March, Dr. Fauci said that masks don't work. It's basically fear porn, security porn. It's to make yourself feel better because, we're a bunch of sheep. Wear a mask, you'll feel better. So, no, they don't work. And then now that there's been, the study I cited in the last segment, even though it's just a few people in South Korea with COVID coughing into a petri disk with a control, and then the ones with the masks over their faces, and there's no difference. The Rona still gets in the petri dish. The fact that they're lying about masks' efficacy shows you their agenda. They want to keep everything shut down through the election. By the way, the more they can scare you, the more they can make you think that we need mail-in ballots. And they realize that mail-in balloting is the only way to go where they can really cheat. And I fully expect that there's going to be more coming out about what China is up to. Who knows, Russia, but definitely China is fudging with this. Thinking of ways to print out ballots. Ballot harvesting. It's so obvious what the left is doing. But the problem is that for people like you and me who live, sleep, and breathe politics, it's obvious. But then you talk to other people, and I have friends who, again, are conservative, but they're not psychotic about it like me. They don't live and breathe it. And they just said, well, if it makes people feel better, I'll wear the mask. And I said, don't you understand? That's where it starts. The left does not stop. So if you think that they're going to be happy with you just capitulating on a mask, think again. The left has gone completely bonkers. New York, New Jersey, Michigan, Illinois, other blue states, Atlanta mayor, Gavin Newsom, all the usual suspects who on purpose I'm not saying the Atlanta mayor did this. Let me make myself clear. The East Coast governors, the blue state governors, the five, New York, New Jersey, Michigan, Illinois, and I can't think of one more off the top of my head, but five East Coast governors. They were the ones who, against advice, decided to put COVID-infected people back into nursing homes, even though the quote officials said, hey, no, don't do that. But they did it anyway. Why? Because they knew, well, there's a lot of old Republicans in there, so let's kill some of those off. But they knew that they're going to be putting those people back into the most vulnerable population, and that would jack up the death rate. Sick, sick, sick and twisted individuals. And then now in red states, they're jacking with the numbers. They're jacking with the death rate. They're jacking with the positives. This is all about the election. This is all about getting rid of Donald Trump. And when people say, well, it's just a mask, why do you make such a big deal about it? Because it's not just a mask. It's wanting to control you, wanting to put fear into little kids. The children do not carry this virus. Children do not get this virus. In fact, children have been shown to be a stopgap for the virus for whatever reason. Every other freaking country in the world, in the Western Hemisphere, has reopened, but not America. You know why? Because we're the only ones with an election in November. And these teachers' unions making these outrageous demands to come back, like, we want Medicare for all. We want the police defunded. Just nuts. Like, what does this have to do with teaching? And I just wish someone had the stones to tell these teachers and these demonic teachers unions who don't care about teaching, who care about indoctrinating kids. I wish they would tell them, pound sand, get bent, whatever you want to say, whatever euphemism that I would like to say, GFY, you know what I'm saying? But they don't, because these are leftists. They are weaponizing a virus, they are weaponizing masks, they are weaponizing people like Black Lives Matter and Antifa to terrorize us. And they're using all of these things to see if you will comply. I mentioned a little bit earlier about a friend of mine who had 2 positive cases and then had to go to a drive-thru to get a negative one. And I wonder how many more people of those are out there. And the thing is that when she was tested twice, those were counted as 2 positives. So those were 2 cases. So it's not just one person having 2 positive tests. No, they counted it as 2 cases. So imagine all those people who are trying to go back to work and who's, the road, I can't go back to work. Imagine all those bosses saying you have to have 2 negative tests or negative tests to be able to come back. So they're trying to get that negative test because they're not sick, and all these positives keep coming up. That's why you're seeing all these positive cases in Texas and Florida and things like that. But here's why the straw is dedicated to the mask and the mask Nazis. Your precious piece of paper or your toxic diaper that you wear to virtue signal how smart you are because you care. You care. Heart hands. You have to make heart hands when you say care. It's not protecting you from the Rona. The only thing that will stop this, minus therapeutics, which, God willing, the FDA is 100% getting ready to okay hydroxychloroquine with no qualifiers. The only thing that's going to stop this is herd immunity. That's it. I don't know why the left thinks that they're smart enough to outsmart a virus. A virus, people. Something in the air that we all breathe that doesn't distinguish between Republicans and Democrats. I mean, unless you're protesting, of course, and then the virus is woke and it's, Black Power and Black Lives Matter, and the Rona won't get you then. But whoever Governor Abbott is talking to about this mask stuff, he needs to fire. Because, we've got it bad enough in Houston with Sylvester Turner and Dora, the woke Hitler explorer, Lena Hidalgo. This is what I'd like to say to anyone out there who thinks wearing a mask is worth anything. the fakery is so extreme. It's so pervasive. It's so overwhelming that little old me walking into a store without a mask and getting side eyes. It's gotten to the point where even I, who like to poke the bear, and I love to poke the bear, but even I am like, now, I don't want to go in anywhere because I'm not wearing a mask. Like, I have it in my purse in case I absolutely must, and I always just wear it around my neck, basically. My filthy, toxic diaper that's been in the bottom of my purse with makeup stains all over it, because, yeah, it's safe. Does everyone feel safe? Anyway, the psyop that they're trying to perpetuate on all of us, even I am now reticent to go into places, because I don't want the hassle. I don't want the drama. This whole thing has completely changed all of our lives since January. And even as the zenith and the peak of everything was in March and April, and we started to reopen, they were like, uh-oh, nothing is happening. Let's start jacking with the rates. And I think that's what's going on. Because still, even though the positive cases are up, the death rate is still very low. In fact, in Texas, the seasonal flu, the Rona, 0.1. But in Texas, open your selves. If we don't start pushing back against this stuff, I'm telling you, the left ain't gonna stop. So it's up to us to stop them. We'll be right back. Angela Soap Box on Raging Elephants Radio. Stick around.
Will advertising on Raging Elephants Radio help your business?
Hello, my name is Galen Beatty at Beatty AC and Heating. I advertise on RagingElephantsRadio.com, and I'd urge you to do the same. Small and large business owners, if you want a really affordable way to get your name, products, and services to a large audience of consumers, I'd advertise on RER.
Ask about our double value package. You'll love it. Easy, affordable, effective. Email RERads@RagingElephantsRadio.com. That's RERADS at RagingElephantsRadio.com.
Can you do it? The RER 2+2 Challenge. Howdy, rowdy Texans. It's me, E, the millennial voice of RER. I'm a big fan of RagingElephantsRadio.com. More Texas voters should be listening to RER every day. A better, deeper knowledge of how Texas works will help Texas voters to make Texas more like Texas. The RER 2+2 Challenge. Listen to RER 2 hours a day, every day, for 2 weeks. You'll learn more about Texas politics in 2 weeks than you've ever known. Mark it on your daily calendar. Set your phone alarm. The RER 2+2 Challenge. 2 hours a day, every day, for 2 weeks. RagingElephantsRadio.com. The rebellious voice of Texas liberty.
Harris County has a crime problem. Who are you going to call? It's harder than ever to know who you can trust. You can trust Joe Dana. Group culture is always set by leadership, whether it's an airline or a city. As a lieutenant constable every day, he honors his oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the laws of Texas. Protect and serve is in his DNA. As a Harris County Sheriff, Joe Dana will restore your trust in the Sheriff's Department and improve the morale of the deputies on the street. You can trust Joe Dana as Harris County Sheriff.
I am Lieutenant Constable Joe Dana, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Joe Dana Campaign.
Hey, Barry, the Music Man here for Tejas Smoke Depot. They have everything you need when it comes to smoke. Check out the 150 square foot walk-in humidor filled with a huge selection of fine cigars. Or give them a call at 830-990-1472 and order up what you want. Maybe you like to roll your own. They have it. Maybe you need a gift for a smoker in the family. How about a new pipe? They have a large selection, even a cross-section of great beers in stock. In a hurry, come by and use the drive-thru. Located at 1639 West Highway 290 in Fredericksburg, Texas. Out of town? Visit them at the website, TejasSmokeDepot.com, or call 830-990-1472. That's 830-990-1472. It's smoking.
Here's how to use the RER app on your commute and get the latest Liberty 411. First, download the RER app on your smart device, phone or tablet, Apple or Android. Search Raging Elephants Radio in your App Store or Google Play and hit the search button on your keyboard. Connect your device to your car audio system. Do it via Bluetooth or auxiliary jack. Riding old school? Stick in some quality earbuds and enjoy the serious HD stereo. No excuses. It's here. RER app.
Welcome back, y'all, to Angela's Soap Box on Raging Elephants Radio. So much still to get to. Every week, I write an article on my website. It's called AngelaSoapbox.com. Easy enough, right? You like how everything's coordinated? It's like color coordinating. Everything is Angela's Soapbox. It works. Anyway, my YouTube is called Angela Soapbox as well, but on YouTube you can find me just Angela Box. I was able to grab that name, luckily, because it's kind of an unusual name, evidently. But this week on Angela Soapbox, my article is entitled "Filthy Leftists Are Why We Can't Have Nice Things." And that's kind of where we are. My friend had a brilliant point she said last night. She said, what is with all this, drag queen story hour and, constant boundary pushing, constant line stepping, as the late, great Charlie Murphy would say. He's a habitual line stepper. The left are habitual line steppers. What is with that? She goes, why can't the left understand that worlds don't need to collide? Like, little kids shouldn't have to be learning about transgenderism at 4 years old. Or sex, for that matter. I remember when my mom told me it, and I was, 7 years old, and she bought a book and everything. But the first mention we had of it in school was like 5th or 6th grade. My mother, our parents taught us about those things, but not anymore. So her point is really well thought out, I thought, and brilliant, simple. Worlds do not need to collide. But the left does not believe that, do they? No, they do not. It is full speed ahead 100% of the time. And we talk a lot about fake news, and President Trump has really made that his one of his own calling cards, which he's completely right about, because the news is totally fake all the time. In fact, Liberty University is getting ready to sue the New York Times because they had a blatant false story, fake news, saying that Liberty reopened its doors to their students and, everyone got the Rona. Not true. Fake news. So, like Nick Sandmann before, who I'm so excited about Nick Sandmann. I hope that 15 minutes of hell and then, the snippet that they got. Wait, let me back up. Nick Sandmann, who was the student out of Covington Catholic, who basically stood there with a MAGA hat on at the March for Life as this Native American lunatic, leftist agitator, activist, got in his face and was trying to incite some sort of an argument or a fight or instigate something, and Nick just stood there with his just looking straight ahead. And of course, the left said he was racist and white supremacist and just destroyed this kid. Well, Nick Sandmann, won a pretty hefty lawsuit against CNN a few months ago, and my guess it's certainly in the 20 million range, probably a lot more. But his attorney is going after many, many, many organizations. So Liberty decided, you know what? We're going to sue them too. And good for them. This idea that someone who's a public figure gets to be slandered and defamed is completely outrageous. And, when I had to do my little lawsuit many years ago against Quanell X because he wrote something in public with quotation marks around it, attributed it to me, that was 100% fake, you have to stand up against this stuff. And it's like, I don't want to get a lawyer. I don't have any money. And, the lawyers I got at the end of the day weren't the best. Let's just leave it nicely at that. But that's what happens. They come after you. They come after you. They come after you. They come after you. And what they expect you to do is just capitulate. It's all about the agenda for them. That's what I like to say. COVID-19 is real. It's real. But the extreme propaganda designed to scare you into submission is fake. Black Lives Matter and Antifa, those terrorists, they're real. But the systemic racism they scream about is fake. Our country and our culture is at stake in November. And now they've not just attacked Confederate statues. They are now going after Christianity and the very foundation of Western civilization itself. Another church was desecrated. A statue of Jesus had its head chopped off in a Florida church. Can you imagine, as the priest or whoever opens the church, walking in and seeing that? The desecration. I mean, I literally am getting shivers right now thinking about it. Like that level of evil is only found on the left. They want to destroy it all. This isn't about George Floyd. This isn't about systemic racism, because that's a lie. It's about remaking America in their own image. And that's why I'm so disappointed in people like Governor Abbott. And I'm assuming Dan Patrick, who probably went in on this as well, the mask ordinance. Instead of just saying, okay, people, we may have a rise in cases in Texas, but how about we wash our hands and, try and keep our distance from people and, don't cough on each other. Try that. And if you're feeling like you're coming down with something, stay away from other people. Because God forbid you get the Rona. Because there's a 0.01% chance you might die if you have pre-existing conditions and are 85 years old. God forbid. Anyway, very disappointed in how Abbott has handled this in recent weeks. I received a survey from the Texas GOP, and it was a very interesting survey. And in it asked questions, do you support Donald Trump? Yep. Do you support John Cornyn? Favorable, unfavorable is what it was. At unfavorable, he's fallen. Ugh. Fortunately, I think we only have one true conservative senator, and his name is Ted Cruz. Cornyn, unfavorable. Abbott, unfavorable. Trump, favorable. And then it asked, do you support the Texas mask ordinance? Nope. Do you support Texas shutting down of the GOP convention? Nope. And then it said, who would you support as GOP chair? And unfortunately, I'm not a delegate to the convention this year. I mean, who knows if we're having a convention, wherever it's going to be. But I was a delegate in 2016, which was exciting, and it was fun. But this year, I would vote for Alan West, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, as chairman of GOP. He's an outsider. He's got cojones, and he's brilliant. And this isn't much. I don't know much about James Dickey. Wouldn't know him if I saw him. But I do know that when your governor goes directly against the personal liberty he said he would stand up for, I think it's up for the Texas GOP chair to push back. And I haven't seen a lot of that pushback. In fact, I'm seeing more and more regression from people who are too afraid to open their mouths. Well, you know what? You know who else was too afraid to open their mouths? German citizens in 1933. They were afraid to open their mouths too. Think about it. If basically 3 to 5% of the German population was either SS or sympathetic with the Jewish solution, so to speak, what the hell? What about the 97% of the German citizens? Where were they? You know where they were? They were putting masks on their faces. They were shuffling along, saying, "Okay, I guess we don't want to get the Rona." That's what we're doing right now. It is incremental. That first it's the mask. Then they're going to say, well, you know what? You're going to have a vaccine if you want to go back to work. And listen, I am not an anti-vaxxer. I think those people are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs for the most part, because I think getting a polio vaccine and a measles vaccine and rubella and things that, you know, we can actually get vaccinated for that are proven vaccines that children need to get. And, you know, again, we're having measles outbreaks and typhoid outbreaks because of the influx of illegal immigrants over our southern border, people who are not immunized. And then, of course, we have people who, I call them the whole milk culture, the non-pasteurized milk people who refuse to have their kids vaccinated. Anyway, they're getting, you know, measles and third world country diseases we've eradicated. But the idea that you have to have a vaccine as an adult or even as a child that is not a proven vaccine, it's for a virus. And a viral vaccination basically doesn't exist, because everyone thinks that every year you go, get a flu vaccine. No, it's not. It's a flu shot. Because viruses are constantly changing. That's why there's not an AIDS vaccine yet. Or is there? Dum dum dum. Get a little conspiratorial minded. But there's only one person who's actually fighting back against the regressive left. I'm saying, I'm not, you know, one person, I'm not saying we're all not fighting in our own little worlds. But if you shuffle along with your mask on every day, you're not fighting that hard, are you? But his name is Donald Trump. This week we saw the regressive left eat some more of their own. Dan Snyder, who is the majority owner of the Washington Redskins, swore up and down 2 weeks ago he would not change the name of Redskins. Atlanta Braves haven't, Cleveland Indians, the Blackhawks are like, F off. And that's what Dan Snyder should have said. But he's like, oh, FedEx says they're going to pull out. So what? So what? Bring in UPS. Make it up with, I don't know, vending and people so grateful that you took a stand. The American people would have rewarded Dan Snyder had he not capitulated, but he didn't. He capitulated. And coming up next week, we're going to learn what the new name of the Washington Redskins are. Maybe they'll be called the Washington Tulips. The Washington Woke Warriors. I don't know. What do you think they should be called? I wish it would be called Washington Redskins Go F Yourself. We'll be back for one more Amazeballs segment on Angela's Soap Box Radio. Stick around.
What's up, Saints and Patriots? I'm Apostle Claver, a proud Texas nationalist, and I'm here to tell you about Texit. For 25 years, Daniel Miller has been working to see the rebirth of the Republic of Texas. His work has been hard, but his passion is deep. For many Texans, there is a deep yearning, a burning to see the prophecy of Sam Houston come true. But The desire of their hearts comes with many questions. Texit has the answer. It's the new book from Daniel Miller and Defiance Press. Texit, Why and How Texas Will Leave the Union. Texit charts the path to Texas independence. This riveting book of facts and philosophy will soothe your anxiety about the coming change and build your confidence that Texans can get it done. You'll want to buy several copies for your family and friends. Like I've said about this governmental mess, the only way out is out. And the best part of Texit, I'm in it. Texit, Why and How Texas Will Leave the Union. It's selling like hotcakes. Buy it on RagingElephantsRadio.com.
Hey, Barry the Music Man here for Tejas Smoke Depot. They have everything you need when it comes to smoke. Check out the 150 square foot walk-in humidor filled with a huge selection of fine cigars. Or give them a call at 830-990-1472 and order up what you want. Maybe you like to roll your own. They have it. Maybe you need a gift for a smoker in the family. How about a new pipe? They have a large selection, even a cross-section of great beers in stock. In a hurry, come by and use the drive-thru. Located at 1639 West Highway 290 in Fredericksburg, Texas. Out of town? Visit them at the website, TejasSmokeDepot.com, or call 830-990-1472. That's 830-990-1472. It's smoking.
Automobile aficionado, Apostle Claver here. Let me introduce you to my mechanic, an ASC certified mechanic, Andre at America's Repair in Houston. Now, you guys know I'm a former fully sponsored race car driver and I own a high performance auto. You bet I'm particular about who even touches my car. I go to America's Repair to get all my auto work done, and you should too. Andre has served Spring Branch and all of Houston for over 20 years. America's Repair will match or beat any competitor's price. All repairs come with a 1-year, 12,000-mile warranty. America's Repair is a complete car care and repair center. State inspection, muffler and exhaust work, wheel alignment, brake work, tune-ups, engine transmission work, auto body and paint. Great deals on oil change and AC checkup. America's Repair accepts all extended warranties. 2005 North Gessner, 1 mile north of Memorial City Mall in the Katy. Wednesday is senior citizen discounts. Thursday, active military discount. Call 713-467-2001. 713-467-2001. AmericasRepair.com. Or click the ad on RagingElephantsRadio.com. What do you care about Washington, D.C.? D.C. doesn't care about you. You're a Texan. You're a Texan above all else. And there's only one radio station that's going to feed your need for Texas power and independence. RagingElephantsRadio.com. Finally, the Patriots of the Lone Star State have a unified voice to fight back and organize. 24/7, 365. RagingElephantsRadio.com is going to give you what you need to know about Texas politics, liberty, and independence. Take us wherever you go. RagingElephantsRadio.com. Streaming on your computer, smartphone, tablet, and internet auto.
And y'all, one more segment. So much, and as usual, I'm not going to get to all the things I want to talk about. But let's talk. This is Angela's Soap Box, by the way, on Raging Elephants Radio. Let's talk about how the revolution is eating its own, which is delicious, by the way. So on one hand, we see that the left is pushing full steam ahead. We have avowed Marxist Angela Davis, who was responsible, she's a terrorist, by the way, convicted of providing a weapon that we used in the murder of a police officer. One of the left's heroines, I might add. Angela Davis has come out and said that she's supporting Joe Biden because basically he's easily controlled. And we've seen now that it is now the Bernie Sanders agenda that Joe Biden has co-opted. And don't let the old curmudgeon facade of Bernie Sanders try to fool you. He is a far left communist Marxist radical. And he has morons like AOC, he meaning Joe Biden, going to run his energy policy. And, Beavis and Butthead Beto O'Rourke is going to be in charge of grabbing your guns. And people like Angela Davis are going to be making sure he does what's right, quote unquote. But the revolution, on the other hand, is eating its own. We are now in the Robespierre, the part of the revolution where it's literally off with everybody's head. And this week was kind of a delicious example of that. The New York Times had an opinion editor named Bari Weiss, which is kind of a wild name. It's a girl, actually, Bari, I think. Bari Weiss, who took over from the former opinion editor, who was let go because of the tantrum that the children in the New York Times newsroom had because he actually let Tom Cotton have an op-ed published in the New York Times, which was a completely, last time I checked, Tom Cotton, not a firebrand per se. He's kind of a mild guy, but he was saying, the military, the National Guard should be sent into these cities that are burning. Oh, God forbid, can't have that. So he had to go off with his head. And so then they bring in this, looks like a millennial to run the opinion section. Always a good idea to have a millennial running the opinion section, but pretty soon they're going to be our overlords, so God help us. But this week she had to resign from her. They removed her from that position, and then she was just writing. She was working as some other kind of an editor. Well, this week she resigned completely from the New York Times, citing the regressive nature of her colleagues and the constant harassment and environment that she had to work in. Hostile work environment, they call it. And it's like, honey. You might call yourself a, quote, independent moderate, which, sorry, that probably means just left of Trotsky if you're working. I'm sorry, just right of Trotsky. If you're working for the New York Times, you're not an independent moderate working at the New York Times. So let's stop pretending that exists. But she's saying, an independent moderate like me is constantly harassed, constantly just made her life was hell by her woke, progressive, tolerant colleagues. And it's like, but honey, you promoted this crap. You promoted the idea of fake news. And I wonder if she's starting to understand that the place she actually worked is the definition of fake news. Because all they're doing is giving a confirmation bias to their subscribers. A worldview that they already agree with, and they can spoon feed it to these people. So she was part of the Mueller hoax, the Ukraine hoax. I'm sure she was fine with people getting canceled as long as they were Republicans. I'm sure she piled on anyone who had wrongthink until she had wrongthink. So it's like, okay, well, you reap what you sow, kiddo. And I'm not happy with anyone losing their livelihood, especially she lives in New York City. My God, the rent's there. She's probably freaking out right now, which I don't blame her. But, this is what we call karma. You live by the identity politics sword, you die by the identity politics sword. And something happened in San Francisco. I'm actually going to make sure I read part of this article to you so I don't misrepresent what they actually said. The MoMA in San Francisco, the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art, which is always one of my favorite museums to go to. The Houston one's actually really good. I don't know if it's a MoMA. I think it's the MFA, Museum of Fine Arts, that is pretty much, it's everything. But there was a curator of the San Francisco Modern Art Museum named Gary Garrels, who, senior curator, so ostensibly had been there a long time. Now, trigger warning, he is a white male, looks heterosexual, so lots of privilege. But he became the target of a petition that garnered a whopping 250 signatures this month. Keep that in mind, 250 screaming harpies and leftist freaks signed this petition, demanding that he resign after he failed to exclude, wait for it, white male artists. So because this curator, he said, well, that's reverse discrimination. We can't not have white artists. Like, what? So are you kidding me? So that would mean no Andy Warhol, no Jackson Pollock. I can't think of, all these modern artists off the top of my head. But you get my point. So Gateway Pundit had this great piece, and the petition said, I'm trying to scroll here. You must hear the actual words. The petition stated that Garrels offended many members of the staff by mentioning that the museum would, quote, definitely still continue to collect white artists during a presentation about diversifying collection efforts to include more work from non-white artists. So again, we're going to continue to collect white artists' work and POC artists' work, people of color. Quote, through actions and words, Gary has been obtuse at best, to the point of offense, or deliberately racist at worst, in his retorts to criticism. You see how they like to use big words, but all they had to say is stupid. I'll continue. When pressed on the museum's collecting policies, he has repeatedly said some variation of, quote, don't worry, we will continue to collect white male artists. Among San Francisco MoMA staff, as well as in public view, Gary has used and continued to use white supremacist and racist language such as, quote, reverse discrimination. This has been documented, the petition said. Gary's removal from San Francisco MoMA is non-negotiable, it added. Considering his lengthy tenure at this institution, we ask just how long have his toxic white supremacist beliefs regarding race and equity directed his position curating the content of this museum? In light of the above, the most appropriate path towards the change San Francisco MoMA has committed itself to is for Gary Garrels to no longer be part of the institution and for him to be beheaded. I added that last part. I read this to you verbatim for a reason, because people are like, okay, this isn't really real, right? Oh no, it's real. These people are lunatics. Black Lives Matter, Antifa, the radical left, the people who give them money. Again, Black Lives Matter is getting a $200 million infusion of cash from, guess who? George Soros, right in time for the election. So expect the next event to happen shortly. California just released 10,000 violent felons because of the Rona. But again, if masks work, why do we need to release violent felons? See, things are just not adding up. So they're going to try to push another event shortly. But as they eat their own, and as they get more and more radical, I wonder, is anyone paying attention, or are you all just watching Tiger King? Because remember, the same cultural Marxists who believe that a piece of paper or cloth will stop a virus also believe that Black Lives Matter aren't terrorists. And the ones who believe that there are 47 genders and we should have drag queen story hour, or that we can stop a virus or actually control the weather, which is, the more, when I start thinking about that, as it's raining cats and dogs here today in Houston, I'm like, wait a minute, why can't we just stop the weather? Come on, that's racist. You white people want it to rain. You want it to rain on the Black Lives Matter parade and their protests. But again, these are the same people who don't think that the Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization. These are the same people who write insane petitions, like the one written to get rid of a senior curator of an art museum. That is, the language is so outrageously insane. These are the same people wanting to defund the police. And last week I didn't get to this story, and I want to get to it before we go. Postmates, which was bought by Uber Eats. Uber Eats started the train, and now Postmates has jumped on it. Postmates has joined the racist of Uber Eats and decided to waive delivery fees to Black-owned restaurants. So you have 50 people, different water fountains for Black and white people. This goes against the 1964 Civil Rights Act. 100%. Is anyone standing up against it? I don't see them. Hello, Justice Department, anybody home? I look for the God in other people, not their skin tone. The great Jason Whitlock said that, the sports commentator at Outkick the Coverage. He's awesome, by the way. He looks for the God in people, and I want you to go forth today, go forth next week for the God in your fellow human beings. And whatever you do, as you're looking for the God in them, remember it is your sacred duty. It is your sacred oath to torment a leftist every day if you can find them. And don't wear a mask, because they can't arrest us all, people. My name's Angela Box. You have been listening to Angela Soapbox on the Great Raging Elephants Radio. Please come back next week and make sure to share my content, people, because we've got to fight the regressive leftists wherever we find them. See you next week.